Welcome, everybody, to the second hour of Mindshifters Radio. Today is Friday, August the 6th, 2021, and our call-in number is 563-999-3581, and press 1, and that puts you in the queue to talk to us. And we'd love to hear your comments and questions because that makes this your show. Give Michael a moment to get dialed in, and there he is. Hi, welcome, Michael.
Are you waiting for me to dial in, sweetie?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm here.
Awesome.
Hi, be here, and welcome, everybody. Delighted that you're here with us. We get to do this one more time, and there's nothing more exciting in the world for me. Well, maybe there are a few things, but one of the most exciting things in the world for me is to watch the relief and the look in people's eyes when their brain starts to kick into functioning out of love rather than functioning out of hostility and fear. You know, if you go back to the Aramaic language, which is the root of all of this work, the teachings of a man named Yeshua, the word law in Aramaic has nothing to do with our idea of law, which is the rule of a superior. You know, we think the law, you know, if you say to somebody, oh, we do this course called Laws of Living, they say, well, send me a set of the laws. I want to read them. I want to read what the superior passed and, you know, calls laws. And I say, no, there's no such thing. The difference in the meaning of the word law is as different as the meaning of the word forgiveness from the Greek to the Aramaic. The Greek, forgiveness is, you did something really terrible that caused all this pain inside of me, but it's okay. I'll let you off the hook for what's happening inside of me. And that's called forgiveness. In Aramaic, forgiveness is a tool with which you go inside yourself and remove your pain. Love in Greek is something we're going to do to somebody else, or they're going to do to us, and perhaps include sexual athletics or, you know, whatever is going on in our minds. In Aramaic, love has nothing to do with any of that. Love is a state of being. It's who we are. This work is about living as the presence of love, not loving people. You know, nobody's ever going to love you. Nobody has ever loved you. Nobody ever will love you. You've never loved anyone, and you are never going to love anyone, including yourself. And the man, Yeshua, never said, love your neighbor as yourself. It's all a fraud. It's all just total fake. In Aramaic, love describes a state of being. It's what you are. So when we go to that passage where Yeshua ostensibly said, love your neighbor as yourself, love the Creator as yourself, what he said was, have Rachma for the Creator. Have Rachma for your neighbor. And by so doing, you will maintain your human life, which is love. And that's such a foreign concept. You know, it's interesting. We read the writings of Vladimir Lenin, and he says, if you want to destroy a culture, just change the meaning of its words. And you've done it. In the culture of Yeshua, you would think people would have an interest in the actual words of the man, but we live in a culture that, no. The Greeks told me all I need to know. Well, if Yeshua sat in most circles today that are ostensibly speaking about his work and his teachings, he'd say that's all Greek to me. So the word law in the Greek, our Greek-oriented philosophical world, is the rule of a superior. In the Aramaic, the word law simply means how it works. So they asked Yeshua, how does human life work? How does it work to function like and as a human being? And he says, not love God, love neighbor as yourself. He says you've got to have Rachma for the Creator, Rachma for the neighbor, in order to maintain self. Now, people will say, well, wait a minute, but I want you to explain that to me in terms that I can understand. You know, I want to know that in terms of what I already know. It's like, excuse me, not going to happen. You're going to have to develop some new brain cells. Well, I really didn't want to work for this. I just wanted you to let me call in and have everything fixed. You know, I got $5 in 5 minutes. Well, if you think $5 in 5 minutes is going to do it, then you might as well just let go of it now. And if you're ready to dig in and really build some brain cells and actually live differently. There's a cute cartoon that passed across my desk a little while back, and it's obviously a politician standing up in front of a large crowd and rah, 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 and, how many want everything to change? And you see people, their arms are up in the air, and they're jumping for joy, and they're screaming, and they're yelling, yeah! In the next frame, how many want to change? And everybody in his audience is looking down at their feet. Most people are looking for tools with which to get other people in their lives to change. And their basic message is, don't make me look at my life. Don't make me change. In essence, what they're saying is, let me live in my blockage of truth and believe that everybody else is the problem in my life. Yes, I feel pain. Oh, yeah, I feel rage. Oh, I feel such anger. I feel such hatred. I feel such vengeance. And all those people have made me that way. Well, the basic message of this work is, to that sort of a statement is, liar, liar, pants on fire. Nobody has ever made you angry. Nobody has ever irritated you. No one has ever done any of those things to you. But if you have those things inside of you, wow, anybody can bring them up. Anybody that knows how to get your goat. So we have a solution in this work for dealing with people who can get your goat. And that is, you get rid of your goat. Now, guess what? Getting rid of your goat in Aramaic translates as. It translates as forgiveness. If your goat, so to speak, is your rage, or your fear, or your sadness, or your grief, or your upset, or your disturbance, or your terror, or your trauma, or your drama, or your blame, or whatever it is, that's yours. Got to stop lying to yourself and pretending somebody else is doing it to you. Well, Michael, you didn't see what they did. You know what? I saw what they did to you. That was really terrible. But you know what? What they did to you didn't cause what happened inside of you to be inside of you. It may have caused it to move. You may successfully live your life so that those painful experiences you hold back and keep from experiencing until somebody shows up with the decoder that decodes that in you and gets it moving. But it only moves in you because it's in you. We've got to stop the lie that it's about somebody else. So that's the essence of this work. That's where we're going with this. And I'm going to turn to the book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And we're in the chapter on healing, abuse, and victimhood. If you're reading along with us, we're on page 97. So we're talking to Richard about living in this abuse and victimhood mode, and that basically we live in a culture that enables people who live in hostility and fear to do so. And so we've been questioning that, having a conversation about that the last few days. And now Richard is going to make a case for why you need to be hostile. And he says, well, it is necessary to fight back and protect yourself, he said in an argumentative tone. It is participation in that kind of thinking that is causing violence to become the norm in our culture. People tend to be so close to what they do, they cannot see their own insanity. Be assured that from within the society, ruled by the quote-unquote volcano gods, sacrificing young maiden now and then was not a bizarre idea. Torturing and burning people to stake was not strange from within the belief system of the Inquisitors. It was a reasonable way to save souls. And then here's a really major key piece of understanding to have, and that is reason, when not consciously governed, can justify anything it can conceive of, anything it decides to do. And so one of the things that we're going to focus on from time to time through the building of the brain cells to support people in doing this work is to recognize what reason really is. And, we live in a culture that, presents you with a question and your mind gives you an answer and say, well, I reasoned to that conclusion. Well, 99.9% of the time, there's no reason involved. It's pure resonance. The non-being mind has a cheap copy of everything real in the spiritual dimension. If I say, don't think about the color of your car, what happens in your mind? Well, brain cells fire. Brain cells resonated by the idea, the body of my thought, the color of your car. Doesn't matter whether I said don't think about it or think about it. That's what moves in you through resonance. And resonance is a cheap copy of reason. There is no reason in the mind spitting up its decisions. The mind is a decision-making machine. What's the front door of your house look like? You don't reason to that conclusion. It's information stored in your mind. And by asking the question, I've resonated those brain cells. Information stored in the subconscious part of your mind comes forward, and you're consciously aware of what the front door of your house looks like. What's your favorite item of clothing? Information stored. Do you have to reason to the conclusion? No. Resonance is all it takes. Reason is the ability to discard or move away from certain kinds of thoughts that are not in harmony with the truth of who we are, and to replace those thoughts with information sourced from the mind of connected love, rather than playing out whatever's stored in what we call the replicate mind. Your body-mind unit is I would offer a multi-generational database that has literally every thought, every feeling, every experience, every reality of many, many generations in your bloodline. And what that mind does, what that storage system does, and we call it a mind, but it really isn't a mind, is if there's something in it that matches what shows up in the world, that information resonates, and the mind makes a decision. The word decision comes from the root of to separate from, to destroy, decision, decide, cut off. So suicide, fratricide, homicide is to cut off. So when we are in decision-making mode, we are cut off from the possibility of actual reason, spiritual faculty with which we bring in new insight, new information based in love, rather than live out of the mind based in hostility and fear. So that's where we want to go with this work, and we're delighted and honored that you're here to be part of the conversation. Miss Jeannie, do we have anybody in the phone queue with a hand up? Anything happening in the chat room?
Hold just 1 second. No hands up.
Okay.
And no comment in the chat room. One of the things I was just kind of flipping over to make sure that I've spelled this gentleman's name right. Dr. Tim had given a quote of Anthony DeMello, and it was,
he's awesome.
The one thing that you need most of all is the readiness to learn something new. The chances that you will wake up are in direct proportion to the amount of truth that you can take without running away. And so I was actually
wow, now that's a good one. You got to send me a copy of that one, honey.
Yeah. And so I was looking up while I was looking to see how to spell his name, and there were so many quotes out there. And so I actually wrote a couple. Actually. Oh, really? Well,
yeah,
he's got some phenomenal sayings.
Yep.
And you were talking about love and it not being something that you do yourself or another person. It's that must be the theme for today, because Dr. Tim had also been sharing about two people who were demanding that the other person love them, quote unquote, even to the extent of sacrificing their own happiness. So I would love you even if it makes me unhappy, and you would love me even if it makes you unhappy. It's like, okay, give me vanilla.
No love in that equation. Approval.
Really.
The world's cheap copy. It's another word that's been destroyed.
Yeah. So I wrote down 3 other quotes of his, and one of them is, and this, you mentioned this too when you were talking about blockage of truth, and I mean it's like everything's just following along the same theme. But he says, if what you seek is truth, there is one thing that you must have above all else. And the person says, I know, an overwhelming passion for it. He goes, no, an unremitting readiness to admit you might be wrong.
Yep.
And then another one, and you were talking about resonance, and they use the wording a little bit different in this one than what we would use, but he says people mistakenly assume that their thinking is done in their head. It is actually done by the heart, which first dictates the conclusion and then commands the head to provide the reasoning that defends it.
That's it. Rationalization. Rationalize.
Yeah. And then there's one more. There is only one cause of unhappiness. It's false beliefs you have in your head, beliefs so widespread, so commonly held, that it never occurs to you to question them.
For sure.
So he has some good stuff
track.
up there.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Yeah.
But that first one in particular, if you'd send me a copy of it, send them all if you would, but
okay.
I would love to have a copy of that one. That's just so...
Oh, we have a hand up.
Well, let's just put another thought in here before we answer to the hand, and that is that, when the mind is in blockage of truth and truth shows up, what happens is that truth showing up elevates stress levels in the mind. And most people would rather block the truth than have to handle their internal stress. And the reason for that, I offer, is because most people don't have forgiveness, don't have the tool with which to de-stress themselves. So anyway, Jamella's right on there. I love it. Thank you, Dr. Shim. Great quote. So let's say hello to our caller.
All right. It's area code 814. You are on the air. Who do we have?
814. Give us a name. Where are you calling from?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Hey there.
There's kind of an echo, but yes.
Yeah. Yeah, what
Who
is
are you talking
the number
to?
about?
Say it again.
Yeah, I have a question. Did you know that Candace died?
Candace Pert?
No, not that Candace. Do you know that Candace died?
I don't know who Candace is.
Candace Dickford.
Okay, I cut him off there. We have another hand up.
Yes, let's go for it.
Okay, area code 541. You're on the air. Who do we have?
Celinda.
Well, young lady, welcome. How are you?
I'm good. What you are talking about today is absolutely on the money. I just got back from a family reunion, and many of my relatives are evangelical Christians, which I absolutely adore them. I absolutely adore them. And my challenge is being willing to meet them where they are, and hopefully with the guidance of Spirit, because Spirit's going to go beneath any languaging we use anyway, because it is our life energy, and it's that love in the heart. Those quotes you gave, Jeannie, were absolutely what I've been thinking about for a long, long time, and it was just like a confirmation. Thank you very much. If you could possibly give the URL for where you found those quotes or something, I would so appreciate it if you could put it in the notes. Thank you both. This is delightful. I am so grateful for this program today.
Well, we are absolutely delighted to be on the team and to have you on our team and to have your ear listening and your mind participating. And to the degree that you do, pass the thoughts along, pass the work along.
And I just, I'm really meditation challenged, and I realize now Spirit's telling me how to craft your message in exactly the way that my soul needs. And I thank you so much for the privilege of being on the team.
Sweet. That's just awesome.
Yep, it is.
And we are with you. We are with you, holding the spaces that emotion starts to move. Breathing with you.
Well, it's moving through me. It comes out pretty strange sometimes, but I love it. I'm so glad getting rid of this whatever way I need to let go of my pain, and to yet be empathetic, to realize, to have Spirit help me realize when I'm being empathetic and when I'm being sympathetic, when it's my stuff and when it's just my sitting with them. I just let the emotions flow.
Right. Sweet.
Thank you.
And breathe.
Thank you.
Breathing
and
with
breathe.
You.
Yes,
yeah.
And thank you. That's what I'm finding. It's my out-breath that I am constricting, and that is my resting breath in Spirit. And it's just like, boy, am I out-breath challenged, and just learning how to let that go. It's like a little safety valve. When I can start letting that go, my ability to rest in life will be so blessed. I won't know what to do with it.
Well, since the intensive, have you done any still point breathing?
Yes, I have.
Good.
And I've also been doing some Vipassana meditation,
right.
with this open mouth. And what I find, Michael, is that when I say thinking at the end of my session, my whole meditation has been thinking. So
right.
It's a practice, and I'm starting in nursery school. I'm starting to rebirth myself in the breath department.
Well, my thought is you might want to go back to the session where we did the still point and just let yourself follow the directions there and, go step by step through it until it just becomes first nature to breathe that way when you're ready to move some energy. It's such a profound practice.
Right, and somehow I have not received the URL for all of those Vimeo videos. Is there a chance, Jeannie, that you could email me that URL that will let me in? I will to all of the sessions. I would so much appreciate it.
I sent them all out by email. It was an Excel spreadsheet that had all of the links. I sent it to all the attendees of the workshop.
And I don't remember ever getting it, so I don't know what happened, but is it possible to send it again?
Yeah, I will.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. It's been rather disjointed with my internet service here, so yeah, I will. I'm going today. I'll definitely look for it. Thanks.
Cool. Well, anything else happening in your world?
Well, just deep appreciation for the show, because that's what I'm hanging on to now, that I'm, intermittent with the internet service. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate you, young lady. You have a blessed one.
Okay, young man and young lady. You take care over there. You make sure that little Arya Rain teaches you what you're supposed to learn.
She has been, believe me, she has. We've actually been studying anatomy and physiology together.
And thanks for that picture of your harvest. That was so sweet.
All right, you have a blessed one.
You three take care now. Bye-bye.
We will. Well, we've got lots of time for lots of conversation. If you're on one of those stations where we can't see you, Our call-in number is 563-999-3581. So if you're listening on one of those syndicated stations and you can't get into our control panel, if you call that number, you'll be listening to the show on your phone. And then if you push 1 through the magic of technology, that will raise a hand in the control panel, and Jeannie will know that you want to have a conversation. You have a question for us or a comment, or how can we support you? What's on your mind? 563-999-3581. Push 1 and raise a hand to put you in the phone queue. So how can we support you? We've got 35 minutes left, thereabouts. So we've got lots of time for conversation. What is on your mind? We're listening. We're listening. Put your hand up.
Just a moment. We have another hand up. Area code 480. You're on the air. Who do we have?
Hey, Dee. Hi, Michael. Steve, Cecilia.
Hey there, young lady.
So
what's on your mind today?
I went on Dr. Tim's radio show. I mean, not radio show. Mind Shifters group last night.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
How'd it go?
Well, really well. So we did a worksheet, and interestingly, when I did my worksheet, another participant had almost the exact same issue. And she said that happens a lot. I'm like,
yes.
Deja vu or weirdo or something. Okay. So that was very interesting. My issue seems to always be my voice, but I feel like, that is where God gets my attention to work on healing with, my whole mind, body, and soul. So I did a worksheet last night that I shut down, and that I'm the trigger because I literally tear myself apart for not singing well enough all the time. Not all the time, but anyway. And so, we did work through that worksheet that it got down to the last, one of the last questions, let go of the goal of singing confidently and feeling safe and confident when I sing, let go of that. And what comes up for that is, of course, that's why I sent you guys the movie Sing. It's the story of the teachings in the world, the false teachings that there's the best and then there's the people who aren't the best, auditions and everything that make it in. Fine, everybody else just mute yourself because you don't sing well enough. Well, so that's the movie. And so I remembered in my 7th grade choir, well, of course I remembered, I worked in that over the weekend, and I put that down, that my teacher, tore into me in front of everybody and said, would you mind just whining work? And I remember just never being able to sing or anything, much less speak anymore. And after that, and so at the bottom, he said, so what are you going to do for your next goal? That's interesting. So you've got that insight that's connected to you shutting down when you sing and having fear when you sing now. So what are you going to do for your goal?
Cecilia, it sounds like you're in your story now, and you've said before that you realize you need to get out of your story. So where are we heading?
Okay,
how can we support you? What's on your mind?
Yes, the goal at the bottom of the worksheet says that we need to, what goal positive or creating perfect love, and what goal do I set? And he said, you can do anything. I said, well, I'll just do another worksheet until I work through this, until it's completely, everything's cleared up inside of me. He said, okay, you could do that, but you could do anything you want. You can write a letter to her. And I said, oh my God, I'm so excited. I can write a letter. So I wrote a letter just saying how it affected me to her, and that and of course, Tim said, and you can maybe realize that only somebody really wounded and insecure would damage a little girl who's saying something like that. And so when I was writing the letter, I was realizing that. And I just said that I just need you to be accountable and do your work on this. I'm doing my work, that I was a sponge, and I do the power person dynamic to myself.
Hello.
Hi.
So you recently said that you realized you need to get out of your story, and you're still telling your story. Where are we going with this?
I don't see how this is a story, though.
How can we support you?
What I'm just trying to tell you, I don't see how this is a story. This is just a worksheet.
Yeah. Okay. So you're telling us a story about your worksheet. What I'm looking to is how can we support you? Where are we heading with this?
Well, sometimes when I listen to Dr. Tim's show, I hear him say you can share anything. And I don't know if I just your support has been able for me to be able to do this work. Like right now, I feel like I am either feeling embarrassed or, my stuff is coming up. Just even hearing when I hear you say stop me and tell me stuff like that, and I'm just trying to work.
Next worksheet.
I'm just trying. Yes, but what I'm trying to say is I realized that you bring this up sometimes when I call you, is that you remember when I share with you that I love my dogs, but I vomit all my stuff on them, and I realized I'm no different than her.
Right. It's called the power person dynamic.
And Dr. Kim says that this time I can create a RUCA. I'm just sharing what's going on. If that's not something that I just feel like it's not telling a story. It's just telling you how I'm working through it. Unless you want to show me that it's not working through it. But Dr. Tim says that when the power, ask RUCA to show me, to be able to see when the power person dynamic comes up, or like right now I'm totally ripping into myself and vomiting on myself, and because I'm not, something inside of me is telling me I'm not doing it well enough, sharing well enough today.
So what's happening with your breath?
Everything's tight, Michael.
Okay.
So RUCA can help me see the power dynamic I do to myself. So before I act it out, and that's what actually I'm doing right now. I'm seeing the power person dynamic come up now with me. Yeah.
Cool.
So how do I
how about a mind
share,
shifter?
Michael? Sure.
Well, here's my offering, and I'm feeding back to you what you shared on the show recently, and I don't remember just which one it was, but in the last week or so, you had talked about that you're, in fact, I think I told you about the fellow at Heartland who wrote a song. He was our music director, and the title of his song was Stuck in My Story, My Pain and My Glory. And you were talking about how you realized that you had to stop telling your story. And so I was just feeding back that I wasn't getting where you wanted to go, where you were wanting support. It sounded like your story. So I was just reminding you of your own goal to stop telling your story and let go of it, and look at, what's the issue I'm heading for? What is it I'm really wanting support with? And one of the thoughts that comes is that a mind shifter at this stage might be really useful. Would you be open to a mind shifter? So how about every time I open my mouth, everyone around me gasps in approval at the sound of my voice.
Well, I can tell you that'll be a good one. I was breathing.
I think it will.
You said that.
I think, good.
Yeah.
Cool. So that'd be one that would probably be useful to, set aside 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 hours and just write and write and write and just let everything that needs to surface around this voice issue come up, and then looking at assessing what comes up, then choose which tools you're going to use to work through each different issue that surfaces. So, the kind of issues that might surface, I could imagine if I were writing that might be, I'm not being approved of, or I don't approve of myself. Somebody's judging me. I'm judging myself. There could be a whole raft of things that are going to come up in response to that mind shifter. And so just really step back. One of the things you'll hear us talking about more and more as you work your way into the codependence intensive is becoming the thinker apart from the thought, the feeler apart from the feelings, the actor apart from the actions. And so just stepping back and observing your mind in operation, what it's telling you, what it's doing, and to recognize when it's on automatic pilot. And usually when it's on automatic pilot, it's playing out a power person dynamic, and you can simply remove those dynamics. Just simply remove them. The self-judgment, the words tearing into myself. That's a pretty dramatic behavior to do towards self. And I'm here to support you being loving and gentle and respectful with yourself.
I appreciate that.
And with your dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Which I assume that since you shared that event happening with the dogs some time ago, that probably the dynamics have changed there.
It is changing. I'm very aware of that dynamic, and I appreciate that you brought that up like nobody's business. Because, I do believe now my parents love me, and they weren't aware of their stuff. So when we become aware, like I'm becoming aware, I can change.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome insight. What a space of compassion for your parents. That's fabulous.
Yeah, it is. It is a wonderful place to be in. So if I call again, and I'm sure I will, if I go over a worksheet
I hope
like
you
that,
will.
is that when you share a worksheet, is that telling your story? I just want to understand how that is. It's just going over it in my head.
Okay. Well, here would be the difference to me. So if I do a worksheet and I pick up the phone and I call into the show and I share every nuance, every step, every thought, everything in the worksheet, then I'm telling my story. I'm telling the story about this worksheet. If I do a worksheet and there's a piece of it that just, it's not making sense. So I share that, I started this worksheet with Dr. Tim and it was on my voice and I was tearing into myself. And I just don't really quite get what canceling a goal has got to do with this. So now we're asking a question looking for support as opposed to just reciting the story. And as I said, my understanding of your words back recently, I'm not sure exactly when it was, but within the last few shows, was you realized that you wanted to stop telling your story. So I'm supporting you in that.
Okay. Yes.
And so when I say where are we going here, what's the bottom line?
I like the clarity.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. When I ask, where are we going with this, I'm looking to comprehend why I'm hearing what I'm hearing, so that I can best support you with what your question is. But if there's no question, it's just going through what happened, that to me is the difference between I'm doing my work, I'm looking for support, and I'm falling into the old pattern of telling my story.
Okay. Wow, what a subtle fine line there that my mind is differentiating right now.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's what we're here to support.
Sure, yeah.
And
anyway,
one of the things I acknowledge you for, right from the first time you reconnected, several months back around the issue with the fellow that you were, taking care of his condos or house or whatever it was, at how courageous you've been to really face some heavy stuff and do the work. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty cool, and I can't do it without you guys. So
well, I'd support you. So how about another mind shifter?
I can't. The word can't. Crap. Okay, go ahead.
What I realize is that the true teacher and the true guidance in doing my work comes from inside of me.
Okay.
And I willingly receive its empowerment. This is a process that's meant to be done for yourself, by yourself.
Okay.
We're here to act as support as you build the brain cells for doing it, but yes, you can do it. And we're not a necessary component of it. We want to hand you the tools that you become proficient at and totally and completely self-sufficient, independent with it. That's the ultimate goal of this work.
Okay. Can I go over what you said?
Sure.
The mind shifter. So I wrote down what I realized is that the true teacher and true guidance come from inside me, and I really that's where I dropped off. And something's like, I really want to know what I really. So what do you got to say about that? To finish it off, you finished it off saying, and I really, true guidance comes from inside me, and I really.
That was so long ago.
Okay, hold on. It was true guidance in doing my work comes from inside of me. You left off the in doing my work, and that's what you were saying you couldn't do on your own.
Oh,
so
okay.
So that the true teacher and the true guidance in doing my work comes from inside of me. And I willingly receive, and then I didn't get the rest of it either.
That guidance.
Oh, okay, yes. Okay. Well, very good. Very good. Helps me get my mind in the right place. I like my mind in the right place. I like to get past the part that isn't clear about where the right place is. So
Sweet.
Anyway,
and I want to strongly urge you to keep in the forefront the fact that the ultimate guide for that isn't out here.
Okay.
The ultimate guide for that is inside of you.
Okay.
It isn't me, It isn't Jeannie, it isn't Dr. Tim, it isn't some preacher or some therapist or some whatever. It's inside of you. That's what you really want to be connecting with.
Yes. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
I like that teaching. I like that. Is it true? It's true. Okay.
Nice work.
Thanks. There you go. I will be around.
All right. You have a blessed one. Lots of love.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. And, before you jump too far away, you had mentioned the idea that embarrassment was coming up, and that too would be just another worksheet. So support you doing that one as well. And we've got about 17 or so minutes left, so plenty of time for another conversation, plenty of time to open the space to look at the principles. I've got a little story I'm going to read if we don't have a hand up, Jeannie. And,
we do not have a hand up.
Okay. So that I titled this, and I put the title on. It's not my story, but we came across it on Facebook, and I thought it was pretty cool. And the title that I put on is "Arguing with Blockage of Truth." Remember that if we honor truth, the mind can show us the truth. If we live in blockage of truth, know the problem's always outside of me, then we won't be able to see that. So here's what I thought was a cute story that illustrated the point. And what's really important, the donkey said to the tiger, "The grass is blue." The tiger replied, "No, the grass is green." Discussion heated up, and the two decided to submit it to arbitration. And for this, they went before the lion, the king of the jungle. Already, before reaching the forest clearing where the lion was sitting on his throne, the donkey began to shout, "His Highness, is it true that the grass is blue?" The lion replied, "True, the grass is blue." The donkey hurried and continued, "The tiger disagrees with me and constricts and annoys me. Please punish him." King then declared, "The tiger will be punished with 5 years of silence." The donkey jumped up cheerfully and went on his way, content and repeating, "The grass is blue." The tiger accepted his punishment, but before he did, he asked the lion, "Your Majesty, why have you punished me? After all, the grass is green." The lion replied, "In fact, the grass is green." The tiger asked, "So why are you punishing me?" The lion replied, "That has nothing to do with the question of whether the grass is blue or green. The punishment is because it is not possible for a brave and intelligent creature like you to waste time arguing with the donkey. And on top of that, you bother me with that question. The worst waste of time is arguing with the fool and fanatic who does not care about truth or reality, but only the victory of his beliefs and illusions. Never waste time on arguments that don't make sense. There are people who, no matter how much evidence we present to them, are not in the capacity to understand, and others are blinded by ego, hatred, and resentment. And all they want to be is right, even if they are not. When ignorance screams, intelligence is silence. Your peace and quiet are worth more. And we see so much of this going on in the culture today, and people losing their peace over some of the most ridiculous arguments that can be presented. First order business is to maintain that center, that connected space to the true mind of love that resides within us. And when we disconnect from that, the king here in this case is a symbol of the self. When we disconnect from the truth, we punish self, no matter what the argument is. So I thought that was kind of an interesting way of approaching this culture that is so filled with conflict and ludicrous, silly discussions and arguments that people act like their lives depend on it. And when we choose to honor truth above all else, then we get to live in a different world. The game becomes something quite different. And so we're honored to be spending this time with you. And our call-in number, if you're on the station where we can't see you, it's 563-999-3581. Dial that number. You'll be listening to the show. Push 1 and we'll have a conversation. How can we support you?
We have a hand up.
Awesome. Let's say hello.
I believe it's Miss Roma, 808. You're on the air.
Hi.
Well, hey there, young lady. I almost asked Jeannie this morning if you've been on recently, because we really hadn't heard from you since a little while back when you were saying you were having trouble getting on. So I'm glad you're on. How are you?
I'm fine. And the weird thing is that the telephone I was always getting this weird. It fixed itself. I didn't do anything to it.
All right.
It fixed itself.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Life cooperates.
Well, I talk less in general. I don't know why exactly. It's part of why.
Well, I think somebody once said that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason.
Oh boy! So that story about the lion and the donkey and the tiger. As you were telling the story, for some reason or other, I began to weep, and I don't understand why. Yeah, I don't know why, but I felt so sad.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Have there been some futile and ludicrous arguments that you've experienced loss over in your life that maybe you're just processing some of the grief of loss, and maybe it's just a time to breathe and be with that energy moving? That's what's surfacing.
I think so. Yeah. And I still don't understand it, but it's still there.
Yeah. Well, remember when we talk about the codependence process, we offer the pseudo-solutions of the non-being mind. And the number one pseudo-solution is if I could just figure this out. You can't figure it out. But you can be with it, and you can forgive it, and you can breathe into it and process whatever's at the root of it. Figuring it out is like the booby prize.
Well, I think figuring it out is a way to avoid the pain, if there's pain.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
exactly. And we're much, much better off if we can just move headlong into the pain, remember to breathe, and be with what needs to be processed through. And, sometimes you open those things, and they can be gigantic.
But, it's only pain. And it's only tears. And they pass. And then the next moment, my cat just jumped up. And the next moment offers me a sweet opportunity to just my kitty. And then it passes. The pain, the sadness.
Yes.
It wasn't pain. It was deep sadness that I felt at the story. It's so strange. Maybe I'll figure it out. If I figure it out, if anyone's interested. But who knows?
I don't know if you were on the show. This is back a few months ago. I was doing a still point session, and I touched into generational grief, and the amount of sadness, my brain, being, Ruka, whatever, gave me this visual, and I was looking down into this abyss, and it was just like the abyss was filled with darkness, and there were spots of light throughout it. And what I realized as I was looking into the unresolved pain of my generations, and just how unfathomably huge the energy that was there was to be processed. And to just breathe into it and be with it and let it move. But it was just like, I can't see it now, but it was a visual in my mind as I was doing that still point session. But I moved my eyes downward. My eyes were closed, but I moved them downward. And it was just this the only words I could come up with was just this huge abyss, and the darkness that was there to be processed was just beyond comprehension.
Yeah.
And I think to open to our capacity to be able to embrace that, shortly after that, it occurred to me that that's exactly what Yeshua was doing in the Garden of Gethsemane, when they talk about, him sweating blood, and according to some of the theological interpretations, this idea of taking on the sins of the world, like, he's going to pick up that burden, whereas in fact, what I got from that experience was that he was opening to the presence, the full presence of literally the love of God, and in so doing was able to move into a space of processing all of that which humanity hasn't had a clue what to do with. So perhaps you're moving into a space where you're going to be able to embrace more of that in a personal way with your own life and your own bloodline. And then perhaps go to the next universal place where you can stand beside him in Gethsemane and help hold the space.
The only thing that comes into my mind is that I've been having conversations with my sister on the phone, and that's a big breakthrough, because for 40 years she just was so committed to hating me, and it was so difficult for me. And I guess maybe the idea of agreeing with the donkey, insisting that the grass was green, is that for the donkey, the grass is green. And that's how I managed to have the breakthrough in the communication with my sister, is to
be able to communicate with your sister, yeah. That's powerful.
We're communicating. And
Sweet.
We don't argue. And I think it has to do with accepting the donkey the way it is, and having it be okay that the donkey's grass is blue and mine is green, and that's okay, And that somehow has made it possible, And it's like walking on, when there's a landmine, landmine in the ground. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that, because I never know when she's going to explode. But
and of course, her explosion can't touch you unless there's something in you to be touched by her explosion.
Yeah.
And as you forgive that in you and process through that in you, it's going to be easier and easier and easier to be with her, even if she explodes, because her explosion isn't your problem. Your problem is, what does that explosion move in you that needs to be forgiven?
Well, I keep coming up with things that are not necessarily what we're talking about. But what's coming up now is that there's fear.
Breathing with you. And the phone's going to cut us off in less than a minute. So.
Oh, I see. Well, it's okay.
So,
anyway,
breathing with you.
I send my
through that fear.
To every, to you and Jeannie, and to everyone on the call. And thank you so much for being for all.
Delighted to be here, and perhaps if any of that's still moving on Monday, we can take it to the next level. Holding
it probably won't. It'll be gone, probably.
All right.
I
you have a blessed one.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Have the best year yet of your eternal life. It's an awesome gift to give the world. Blessings. Bye-bye.